Thanks for joining me for a quick one. Today I'm going to answer a very specific question I get asked all the time. How do we teach kids how to find and sit in open grass? If you can teach this to your wide receivers, you will have an instant passing attack at any level and unlock first downs at a huge rate. First downs equal touchdowns, and that's all coming up right now. All right. So if you've been following me since the COVID days, you know I've been teaching coaches to help their wide receivers find open grass so they can run snag or dig routes at a high level at any age, unlocking their passing games. You also know that Y corner, or as some higher level programs call it, spot, is my favorite passing concept. It might be the most complete passing concept in the game. And while we all love to hit this beautiful corner shot, as you can see, which can be done consistently at all levels, 12U, 14U, and yes, I've even seen it done at 10U, what really makes this the most unstoppable concept in the game is the snag route. In fact, I'm constantly tempted to rename this concept snag instead of Y corner because I want my quarterbacks to be confident in that part of the play. And as a quick reminder, snag is just simply a slant and sit, just a regular three-step slant and sit. Now, I had no idea what snag was before I went down this air raid rabbit hole, so don't feel bad if you didn't know either. The great thing about the snag concept and the air raid in general is that these routes convert depending on what coverage the defense is in. If it's zone, the receivers will attack the overhang defender's heels and sit either before or after that defender. If it's man, that slant and sit automatically just becomes a slant. Now, we'll get into the technique in a second. But the point being, if you can teach this route, you will look like a coaching prodigy on game day. And even more importantly, you'll be sending your wide receivers and quarterbacks off in the next level of their journey, armed with elite passing IQ and experience, which is kind of the whole point anyway. All right, so how do we teach it? So every day, whether it's 7-on-7 or tackle season, we warm up with two low-speed drills, the perfect drill and pat and go. You might know that as easy ups. These two drills are essential for teaching wide receivers how to sit in grass. The perfect drill that you'll see here teaches receivers to sit between defenders, step to the quarterbacks, flash their hands, and make a tight turn upfield. We will mimic this in most of our passing routes. The next drill is pat and go. We start with a nice and easy go route, warming up the body. The receiver is learning how to catch balls by looking up in the air instead of back and letting the ball travel over them, catching the ball over their shoulder, looking the ball into their hands, and securing it in the basket, like you see here in Levi Stadium. Then after the go routes, we get into slants, start to pick it up a little bit, get the hands firing, get the quarterbacks firing, and then quickly after that, we will transition into the snag route. And as a reminder for coaches who purchased the Air Raid bundle on playerbook.com, we have coaches cards with specific coaching points for new wide receiver and quarterback coaches that may be new to your staff to ensure they are coaching up the most important winning details. So when we get to the snag portion of the routes, we put a coach on the field as the overhang defender and rep the heck out of our snag technique. Again, this is not full speed as we are focused on the mental side of the game much more than the physical, especially in camp or early in the season. Don't get me wrong, when we get to indie or half field drills or a number of other sessions in practice, we do this full speed against coaches or against other players. But for this portion of practice, we are just teaching and drilling the key points to put in their head. So again, they continue to hear those same coaching points every day and every time they run this route in their minds. And on game day, I guarantee they'll be hearing it as well. So this footage is on day one with a new set of 10-year-olds. We went all the way back down to prove that we can do this at the lower levels with air raid. These 10-year-olds are coming right out of flag. They've never played tackle, and they've definitely never played 7-on-7. So there are a ton of mistakes happening here. but I wanted to give you an idea of how we set up the drill with our coaches and the pace of it. So as you can see, coach is not trying to fool anyone. He is making his intentions real obvious so the wide receiver can make their reads and react accordingly. Okay, so phase one of how you install this, and this is the main phase. Wide receiver needs to identify the overhang, run a three-step slant aiming at the overhang's back heels with the intention of running behind him so the overhang cannot see him. So the overhang cannot see him if he continues on the path to the other side. This is a huge coaching point so the wide receiver doesn't get covered by the overhang defender. It makes it much easier to sit in grass if the overhang can't see him, obviously. Now, if the overhang or the coach in this instance stays put, or sits in the hook to curl area, the wide receiver will stop halfway between the cornerback and the overhang defender, step to the quarterback, and flash his hands just like in the perfect drill. If the overhang defender travels out to the flats like he is playing cover three, then the wide receiver will run behind him, regardless of the depth. The deeper, the better, actually. And as soon as the overhang crosses his face, the wide receiver is supposed to sit down, step to the quarterback, and flash his hands. Again, this is day one, so we aren't harping too much on the little nuanced details. We're just trying to get the basics down. It is a huge coaching point to sit right away after the overhang defender crosses the face of the receiver, so the receiver doesn't travel into the next defender's zone. Now, after you do this for a few weeks, the coach or the overhang defender will start getting trickier, moving faster, maybe start deceiving them a bit, going out, then coming back to the hook to curl. But it is crucial that you don't move beyond the first phase until you have this part down perfectly. Now, we also teach this for digs, since at the lower levels, we don't teach them to travel across the field. They just get behind the outside linebacker, turn inside, and settle in between, step to the quarterback, and flash his hands. We run digs on 4 verts and shallow pretty regularly. As you can see, you really don't have to overcomplicate things. During warm-ups, work on the mental side of the game. When you see that they are ready to take the next step, you can go full speed during a ton of other periods in practice. Just make sure there's a wide receiver coach focused on teaching these key points throughout. You'll actually be surprised how quickly it sinks into their head once they realize they have the power to run these routes to get themselves open. The faster they can sit in grass, the more likely they are to get the ball from the quarterback. All right, that's it. Thanks for joining me again. If this has been helpful, please do like this video and subscribe. I'm not going to be the guy that's going to tell you to smash the button and all that crap. Please just do the right thing. Help me out. Hopefully I'm helping you out, and we'll see you on the next one.